is Alex Beaver, and today we're going to be talking about how I made this vinyl record painting and how you can make your own version of it as well. We're going to break it down into two steps: how I made the record and then how I personalized it. So let's get to it. For this project, I used a variety of paints and a couple of other different materials. Before I started painting, I covered the canvas in 3 coats of gesso. Gesso helps smooth out the look of the canvas, and since I was making a vinyl record, I thought it would be an appropriate texture to have on the canvas. You'll also see me use several other different tools for the canvas. So after I covered it in gesso, sanded it and let it dry and everything, I then drew out with pencil at least the basics of where I want the record to be. After the basics are all drawn out, then I begin to paint. Of course, I started with the background, knowing that I wanted a lighter colored background. So I started with this beige color, a little bit lighter at the top and a little bit darker at the bottom. Next, of course, I started with my first layer on the record itself, being black. Next, we begin making details on the record itself, showing the grooves and reflections and where the tracks would be. So we start to add in some basic minor details. Next, we start to give a little detail to the actual center of the vinyl record itself, adding some color, giving it, start to building a unique perspective and disc. The great thing about vinyl records, with them being so reflective, they're reflective in not just one area, but pretty much all over, just in varying degrees. So I try to reflect that by adding lighter shades of white and lighter blue to really reflect the light and color bouncing off of it. Next, I began using a white charcoal pencil, which you'll see me use quite often in this, to lay out where I want to put the arm of the record player, which would be going over the actual record. And I'm going to be using the white charcoal pencil because they are really easy to paint over or wash away from a painting if I don't like something. So they're perfect for tracing and plotting out where I want things to be in an acrylic painting. Since the arm of the record player is made of metal, I try to have it look like a reflective surface with a metallic-y type of colors to it. So I add some white to it, and you're going to see me add some others just to really create that shine. Now here's where I start to gain a little bit more perspective and where I want to let some creativity go with this painting. So I started drawing in with the white, a little bit, some funny ideas, seeing if I'd like them or not. Ultimately, I chose not to go with them, but it's good to toy around with your paintings. See what you want to do and how you can really make it your own. Now I mixed the gel matte with the black to really help thicken it up a little and help make those tracks and individual grooves in the record player itself a little bit more thicker, so that way it seems more realistic. you see me adding in the fan brush here to really try to help fan out and spread out the light that's reflected. It really helps because when you a shiny surface isn't just shiny in one particular area, it fades away, and the fan brush is perfect for the circular object like a vinyl disc, which would help spread out such light. Next, we see really where the personalization part comes into place. For example, most record players have a black end there, and I wanted to create mine a little bit more, so I'm adding in some funky colors here, like making it red so it stands out and pops more. I'm also going to be adding in a couple other things to really give it some life and movement versus just being a still image. Now, to the record itself, I just messed with it and used my own, and it said Alex was here. I then painted over the Alex was here with white in various degrees of the blue to kind of give it a faded effect. And now I start to give the record player some depth. It's more than just a disc floating in the air, but it's got a stand it's on top of, and adding in those lightning bolts and everything else to really give it some zazz. Then when I'm happy where things are positioned, I then paint over the white charcoal lightning bolts with the white paint.